opening with atmospheric, somber music and a slow-motion shot of a tattered, stained 19th century diary or map of Gettysburg. The narrator's voice is clear, compelling, and measured. We think we know the story of Gettysburg, the charge, the copse of trees, the high water mark. But history is often written by the victors and shaped by the myths that follow. What if I told you that one of the battle's most pivotal commanders left us a raw, unfiltered account that shatters the simplistic narratives? An account not of glorious triumph, but of crippling dysfunction, not of united purpose, but of fractured command. This is the eyewitness report of Lieutenant General James Longstreet. It is more than a battle diary. It is a damning indictment of the chaos at the heart of the Confederate Army in its most crucial hour. This document exposes the fatal delays, the garbled orders, the bitter disagreements that turned the tide of the American Civil War. Music swells slightly, then fades to a tense, expectant hum. Visual shifts to a portrait of Longstreet, looking weary and resolute. With increased intensity, we are going to follow his words line by line, from the frantic scouts on the eve of battle to the bloody stone-walled slopes of the Peach Orchard and Cemetery Ridge. We will see not just a battle unfold, but an army unraveling. This is not a story of what might have been. This is the stark, sobering truth of what was, told by the man who bore its heaviest burden. This is Longstreet's Gettysburg. Longstreet's eyewitness account exposes the disarray of Confederate forces at Gettysburg. Let's begin on the evening of June 28, 1863. But before we begin, like and subscribe. In the blistering heat of July 1863, the fate of the Southern cause balanced precariously on the clash at Gettysburg. Amidst the chaos and confusion, Lieutenant General James Longstreet stood as a pivotal figure, his account revealing not only the disorganization within the Confederate High Command, but also the profound, far-reaching repercussions of decisions made under pressure. As intelligence on Union positions arrived and orders were hastily dispatched, Longstreet's observations underscored the severe trials faced by his men, trials exacerbated by faulty coordination, delayed offensives, and the heavy weight of command. With each passing moment, the tension mounted, culminating in a critical juncture where strategies unraveled and the prospect of defeat loomed large. Longstreet's first-hand perspective offers a compelling window into a struggle marked by both valor and vulnerability, where a nation's hopes collided with the unforgiving realities of war. This narrative extends beyond a mere recounting of military engagement. It is an examination of human resilience in the face of dire odds, a chronicle that lays bare the complexities of command and the tragic cost of fractured efforts at Gettysburg. On the evening of the 28th, one of my scouts arrived with news that the Federal Army had crossed the Potomac and was likely advancing toward us. This scout was sent to Army headquarters with my urging that our forces gather east of the mountains and prepare to engage the enemy. The following day, I received orders to move part of my corps and establish a camp at Greenwood. The majority of the command began its march on the morning of the 30th, except for Pickett's division, which remained at Chambersburg to protect our rear. By about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the two divisions and the reserve artillery had settled into camp at Greenwood. General Hood was instructed to station a brigade and an artillery battery with Pickett at New Guilford along the road leading toward Emmitsburg. The next day, our troops commenced their march toward Gettysburg, with the exception of Pickett's division, which was still on guard duty at Chambersburg, and a sizable brigade left by Hood at New Guilford. Our progress was significantly hindered by Johnson's division of the Second Corps which entered the roadway from Shippensburg along with an extended supply train. Despite this, McLaws' division reached Marsh Creek, 4 miles from Gettysburg, shortly after dark, while Hood's division arrived at a similar distance from the town near midnight. Law's brigade was ordered ahead to rejoin its division during the day and arrived around noon on the 2nd. Before this occurred, I received instructions from the commanding general to maneuver my available troops to gain control of the Emmitsburg Road on the enemy's left flank. The enemy had been pushed back by Lieutenant Generals Ewell and A.P. Hill the previous day and had taken up a strong position extending from Cemetery Hill along the Emmitsburg Road. Fearful that my force was inadequate for a direct attack, I decided to wait until General Law's brigade reunited with its division. After his arrival and once we were fully assembled, we began our advance. Scouts sent by both myself and the commanding general guided us along a route that risked revealing our plans. We experienced several pauses while searching for a more hidden path. McLaws' division positioned itself opposite the enemy's left around 4 p.m., while Hood's division moved farther to the right and partially encircled the enemy's left flank. The enemy's initial position along the Emmitsburg Road was not significantly more fortified than the ground held by these two divisions. Our artillery opened fire on this position. With Hood's division attacking from their left and McLaws from their front, we soon forced them to withdraw to a steep, rocky hill that was difficult to ascend. Multiple stone walls at its base enhanced its defensive strength. The enemy took cover behind these walls and held on to them tenaciously as we pushed them back gradually until near dusk, when a strong Union force met the brigades from Major General Anderson's division supporting my left flank. This forced one brigade to retreat and weakened support for another, leaving my left flank somewhat exposed and turn. At this time, Wofford's brigade of McLaws' division was also compelled to fall back. I considered it wise not to advance further until my remaining units arrived. General Hood was severely wounded shortly after the fighting began and was carried from the field. This loss caused a considerable delay in our operations. Brigadier General J.T. Anderson from his division also received serious wounds and had to leave as well. In this attack, General McLaws lost 2 of his brigade commanders. General Barksdale was mortally wounded, while General Semmes was critically injured and later died from his wounds. By this point, our line was arranged to hold the ground captured on the right, while my left withdrew to the enemy's original position at Peach Orchard. During the day's combat, we captured 4 cannon along with 2 regimental flags. The following morning, we prepared to renew our attack from the right, planning to move around the hill occupied by the enemy on their left side. This would likely be a lengthy process, but I believed it would not be excessively difficult. Soon after I issued orders for this plan, the commanding general joined me and directed that an assault column be formed from Pickett's, Heth's, and part of Pender's division. The assault was to be aimed directly at the enemy's center on Cemetery Hill. The expanse we had to cross under enemy artillery and in full sight seemed too vast to offer much major success, particularly since 2/3 of the troops engaged in the charge had fought a difficult battle just 2 days earlier, with only Pickett's division being fresh. Orders were given to Major General Pickett to form his line using whatever shelter he could find from the enemy's batteries, making sure that the center of the attacking column would reach the salient point of the enemy's position. General Pickett's line was to direct and assault the enemy's defenses, while General Pettigrew and Commander Heath's division advanced along the same line as Pickett. Simultaneously, Pickett's division was arranged with 2 brigades in front, supported by a 3rd brigade behind them. Wilcox's brigade was commanded to advance behind his right flank to shield it from any enemy forces that might attempt an attack. Heath's division, under Brigadier General Pettigrew, was formed in 2 lines and supported by part of Major General Pender's division under Major General Trimble. All batteries from the 1st and 3rd Corps, along with some from the 2nd Corps, were placed for effective fire on the point of attack and on the hill held by the enemy's left. Colonel Walton, Chief of Artillery of the 1st Corps, together with Colonel Alexander, had positioned our batteries and coordinated with artillery officers from other corps and when to commence fire. Around 2 p.m., General Pickett, who had been charged with organizing the lines behind our batteries, reported that the troops were ready and located on sheltered ground. Colonel Walton was then ordered to open fire from our batteries. The signal guns were fired, and all those batteries replied very effectively. The guns on the hill at the enemy's left were soon quieted, however. Those at Cemetery Hill continued to resist very fiercely. Many of their guns were driven off, but fresh ones rapidly replaced them as they entered action. Colonel Alexander was instructed to find an observation point where he could best see our fire's effect and inform us of the correct moment to begin our charge. After our batteries opened fire, I rode over to Major James Deering's battery. It seemed that the enemy was swiftly bringing in new batteries as we drove off others. I decided that we needed to attack very soon if we expected to accomplish anything before nightfall arrived. I ordered our batteries to refill their ammunition chests and prepare to follow up on our advance. I learned that he had advised General Pickett that it was indeed time for the attack, and I then gave General Pickett the order to move forward. I found that we had such a limited supply of ammunition that our batteries could not reopen fire effectively. The order for an attack, which I would not have supported under better conditions, would have been canceled if I believed I had that option available. The advance was made impressively. All troops kept their lines accurately while enduring fire from the enemy's batteries with great calm and resolve. About halfway between our position and that of the enemy, a ravine provided some cover from their fire, allowing for a short stop for rest. After a moment's pause, we continued our advance in good order. The enemy's batteries soon opened fire with canister shots aimed at us, causing our left side to waver slightly under this heavy barrage. However, we kept moving forward steadily despite this challenge. Pickett's troops did not appear deterred by the enemy's fire and only halted briefly to return fire when they were near enough for musket range engagement. Major General Anderson's division was ordered forward to support Pettigrew's and Trimble's wavering columns during this critical moment. After delivering their fire against the enemy positions, Pickett's troops charged forward but then broke ranks and retreated in great disorder. Many more men fell under enemy fire while withdrawing than had fallen during their initial attack against those positions. This unfortunate situation gave the enemy valuable time to concentrate their entire force against Pickett's division, posing a strong risk of breaking his lines or destroying his troops before Anderson's division could reach him in time. This would also greatly expose Anderson himself if he moved too far forward without support. Therefore, he was ordered to halt his advance immediately. In a short time, the enemy, advancing against both flanks and the front of Pickett's division, overwhelmed it and pushed it back, capturing about half of those who were not killed or wounded. General Wright of Anderson's division, along with all the officers, was ordered to regroup and gather the scattered troops behind Anderson's division. Many of my staff officers were sent to assist in this effort. Anticipating an enemy attack, I rode to the front of the batteries to survey and oversee their operations. The enemy advanced forces at various times and from different points, but these were merely probing attacks that retreated as soon as our batteries opened fire on them. These small advances and retreats continued until nightfall, when the enemy withdrew to their stronghold. My line was then pulled back to the Gettysburg Road on both the right and left, joining Lieutenant General A.P. Hill's right flank. After dark, I received orders to make all necessary preparations for our retreat. The orders for preparation were given, and work began before dawn on the 4th. On the night of the 4th, the troops were withdrawn from our line, and my command began marching, following Lieutenant General A.P. Hill's lead. Our march was significantly hindered by heavy rains and extremely poor roads. However, we managed to reach the mountaintops early in the night of the 5th. On the 6th, my command moved forward toward Hagerstown, since our exhausted men and animals were not in a condition for rapid movement. I felt unfortunate when I discovered that I could reach Hagerstown in time to relieve our trains at Williamsport, which were under serious threat from enemy forces. Arriving in Hagerstown around 5 p.m., our column moved down Sharpsburg Pike and set up camp about 2 miles from Hagerstown. Reports detailing casualties from the campaign, including those killed, wounded, and missing, have already been forwarded for your review. I have the honor to be Colonel, very respectfully, your most obedient servant, James Longstreet, Lieutenant General Commanding, 1st Army Corps, Department of Northern Virginia. As the dust settled over the battlefield of Gettysburg, the echoes of cannon fire faded into a haunting silence, leaving behind a landscape scarred by sacrifice and doubt. Lieutenant General James Longstreet's narrative shows not only the tactical missteps and confusion of Confederate forces, but also the enduring questions that remain after such a decisive moment in history. What could have happened if choices had been altered? Might a more cohesive command have changed the battle's trajectory? As Longstreet and his tired men withdrew under the load of defeat, they bore with them not just their injuries, but also the burden of what might have been. The retreat to Hagerstown signaled a turning point, yet it was only the start of a more profound struggle, one that would test their endurance and reshape their purpose. In the shadows of victory, the Union celebrated while the Confederacy wrestled with its identity and future. Longstreet's reflections prompt us to consider: how do leaders steer through the complications of war when confronted with impossible challenges? What lessons can we take from this turbulent chapter that echo even today? As we contemplate these questions, we encourage you to share your views on Longstreet's account and its significance for our grasp of leadership, strategy, and the human spirit in moments of crisis. The battlefield may be quiet now, but the conversation has only just begun. The video concludes with the final lines of the script read. The somber music from the intro returns, quieter now, Pickett Pettigrew Trimble charge, ending on a close-up of Longstreet's eyes from his portrait. The narrator's tone is reflective, powerful, and deliberately provocative. And so, with Longstreet's grim assessment that the distance was too great to promise success, the stage was set for the most famous and fateful charge in American history. An assault he disagreed with, ordered to lead. But here is where his eyewitness account leaves us, and where our questions must begin. We have followed his chronicle of disarray, the delayed marches, the confused orders, the fractured chain of command. We saw the courage of his men in the peach orchard and the tragic cost paid by Barksdale, Semmy's, and Hood's brigades. We heard his plea for a flanking maneuver, overruled by Lee's direct order for a frontal assault. Artistic depiction of Confederate flags against a stormy sky, then to the peaceful, sun-drenched fields of Gettysburg, as they appear today, slower, more intimate. So what are we to make of James Longstreet? Was he the clear-eyed realist, the one commander who saw the fatal flaws in Lee's plans at Gettysburg? Or did his own reluctance, born of that foresight, become a part of the very disarray he describes? His account forces us to confront an uncomfortable truth. that history's turning points are not forged by destiny alone, but in the fog of human judgment, pride, and miscommunication. The monument on Cemetery Ridge tells one story. Longstreet's words tell another. In the space between them lies the real, complex, and haunting tragedy of Gettysburg. What do you believe was the defeat sealed by disarray or by destiny? Could a different decision on July 2nd have changed everything?